This is the OSU Roundup as we talk Oklahoma State Cowboy and Cowgirl athletics, and headlining the week, certainly a Cowgirl win on the hardwood in Bedlam.
You know, Dave, it was a great win for the Cowgirls. They needed to stem the tide a little bit. They were able to do that. And now the Cowgirls have won 5 of the last 7 in the regular season versus Oklahoma. So that series has definitely had a big turnaround.
Meanwhile, John Smith's Cowboy wrestling team continues to roll, still undefeated, a win over Air Force.
You know, they're 13-0 for the 15th time in program history. This is the 9th time since John Smith has been the head coach that he's been able to do that. So just another incredible milestone for that program.
Cowgirl softball, a dramatic win in their final game in Houston, Texas. Coming up on our show, we'll talk Cowboy basketball with Mike Boynton. Obviously, Casey and Coach Littell will have a chat. He'll also visit with John Smith, and your chance to get to know Lindy Waters of the Cowboy basketball team. All of this to come on the OSU Roundup. The OSU Roundup is brought to you by Bud Light, game day's favorite light lager. By the visitstillwaterok.org, Shop, Dine, and Stay partners. Be sure to shop, dine, and stay in America's friendliest college town. By Mercy Health, your life is our life's work. And by OG&E, power at the speed of life. Welcome to the OSU Roundup, and today we start things a bit differently. Lindy Waters has been the nation's leading free throw shooter for much of the year, so why not watch him shoot free throws and practice his craft? Allison Gappa was the rebounder, and Lindy Waters tells his story. Keep track of how many he misses. Probably not very many.
Go through your free throw routine.
All right.
Explain it.
Well, every time I walk up, there's a nail right here. On every basketball court, there's a little nail to like help measure and stuff.
Yeah.
So that's where I put my toe, my big toe. And I'll take 3 dribbles.
Your dad used to take 4 dribbles.
Yeah.
Your dad played forever, right?
Pretty much. Until he couldn't.
I've met other like Kiowas, and he's like a celebrity.
He told me one time in a Yakima tournament up in Washington, he played 3 games. And he averaged 50 points. They lost in the championship, but he still won the MVP.
Yeah, averaging 50 points. That's
in
crazy.
3 games. He scored 150 points in 3 games.
No, he didn't. Have you ever scored 150 in 3 games?
In 3 games? Nah.
Yeah, I'm just kidding.
Nah.
You guys
But-
have really different personalities too. He's real like,
Yeah, he's out there.
he's got
He-
that big personality, you know?
talks a
And you're
lot.
kind of, yeah. Big
likes-
smile on his face.
He likes the attention.
And you're the opposite.
Quiet.
Going from having your dad coach you and to this level and playing in Gallagher and, you know, being one of the guys that is kind of the guy that gets all that attention.
I mean, I don't think I'm any different than how I was in high school. Growing up, I was still the quiet guy. Didn't talk much, just kind of put my nose down and worked hard.
So you go to high school in Norman, and you come to Oklahoma State. Why do you make that choice? Some of the guys you played with went to OU to play.
Yeah, I mean, I just fit in better here. You know, I never
Yeah.
felt like I fit in there. If I always stood out, but in like the wrong way. When I came here, everyone was welcoming. You know, they didn't really care who I was at that
Yeah.
moment.
And they're still super nice.
Yeah, they have not changed one bit. It's kind of quiet out here, and I like it.
Kind of like you.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I fit in.
So where do you see yourself after basketball or after?
Where do I see myself?
Mhm.
Like after I'm done playing?
Mhm.
Probably coaching.
Yeah.
Because a lot of coaches, a lot of people think I have a really high basketball IQ. I guess that's just because I like the game a lot. I like to think about where people should be. I try to anticipate things. Like, whenever I see a play coming, just anticipate it.
It's probably why, too, you're so good at, like, some of the assists you have, they're really good passes. I think that you almost enjoy that as much as you do, like, making the shot.
Really love passing. Whenever, like, I know where my teammate's going to be, where his defender's going to be.
I think your freshman year, we talked about how you kind of see the floor in, like, in angles, too.
No, like, in practice, I'll stand in different spots. So, like, I'll stand at half court, I'll stand on the baseline or the sideline, and just get a different view.
So you can see the floor differently.
Yeah. So, like, you may think you're really open on one angle.
Mm-hmm.
Another angle, it looks like the defender's right on you. And then, like, watching film, that helps a lot. So you gotta get to watch yourself. You think you're doing something, but you're really not.
Yeah.
It's weird how it works. Like,
Right.
you think you're sprinting down the court. You watch film and it looks like you're barely jogging. So yeah, all of that, just asking questions, talking with coaches. I talk to Thomas a lot, especially like if I ask a question like what does he think about this play, or a lot of times it's about defense.
What's he say?
Like we just, pick each other's brains.
He was a coach's son, too.
Yeah, exactly.
How do you not get in your head too much? How do you play when you are trying to anticipate?
I mean, you can think too much. It just depends on what you're thinking about. So you can be thinking about the wrong things. You can be thinking about the play that just happened where I turned it over and now I'm thinking negatively.
Right.
Or I missed a shot that I should have made, or, et cetera. Anything negative, you start thinking about that, you start thinking too much. If you're thinking positively, like, after I make this free throw, what defense are we in? What plays are we gonna run? Time and score, all that stuff. So, I mean, I definitely think about every little detail. So that way, if I get in the situation where I do need to call timeout, or if I do get in trouble knowing I have possession, I can handle it the right way.
You're thinking positively about the detail of the thing that's about to happen next, or what you're doing right now, right?
Yeah, like Coach Mike, he preaches a lot. He always says next play. So, and we've tried to help our freshmen understand that, because I think me, Thomas, and Cam really understand that, you can't get that play back. When
Right.
something happens, it happens. You can get mad all you want. It's not going to change. But just trying to focus on the next best thing for our team. You don't want to go too fast and put too much on someone's plate. More like to live in the moment. And whatever happens, press on. Forget about it, learn about it, move on.
Coach, your thoughts on Lindy Waters, his development, and the type of season he's had this year?
Well, Lindy Waters comes into this season having really grown in his now third year here in the program. As a freshman, he had the luxury of playing with an All-American point guard and the all-time leading three-point shooter in the history of our school. So, taking the back seat, which is his natural tendency anyway, was pretty easy for him. But he certainly showed flashes that he would become a really good player. Last year, he had to step up a little bit once we lost those two guys, but still kind of stayed in the background as Jeff Carroll, Tavar Shine, Mitchell Solomon, Kendall Smith led us from a senior standpoint. But we've needed him to really step up his leadership this year and be a productive counter every day, and he's really stepped up to that challenge. Obviously, he's led us in scoring a number of times this year. His shooting has continued to be a force with us, but he's also become a really good rebounder and versatile defender as well.
And you've literally asked him to shoot more and just do more on the court.
Yeah, we've asked him to do just about everything, including, play some point guard, play some power forward. With his frame, probably isn't the most comfortable spot, but his intelligence is really the key to the whole deal. He can make all the transitions pretty seamlessly because he knows where he's supposed to be on the court at all times. He's also very good at helping his teammates figure out where they're supposed to be.
Stay with us. A look back at the Texas Tech game when we return. Welcome back to the OSU Roundup. Oklahoma State returned home to face Texas Tech, the first meeting in 2019 between the Cowboys and Red Raiders. Here's a look back.
We were bad, and Texas Tech made us bad. I usually have to watch the film to be able to kind of evaluate what happened. I'm going to watch it just because it's kind of what I do, but I don't really need to watch that game again to know what happened. They were really good, and they forced us to be really bad. I've been around basketball since I was 4 years old, and kind of always thought the game from a coaching standpoint. So I've always been interested in how focused people are in doing their assignments, and yeah, we didn't have a sharpness to us today. I told them that then, so it's not like it wasn't a reaction to the game. It's, we don't have that. We don't have the ability as a team to not do all those things well and then play well. You have to have an immensely high level of talent to overcome a lack of mental preparation. And so, yeah, it was a part of it. But I don't want to make it seem like we played poorly and Texas Tech kicked our butts. Period.
When we return, a look ahead to the Cowboys' next game on the road at Texas, as the Cowboys look for a regular season sweep for the Longhorns. Coach Boynton and I preview this weekend's game when we come back. We continue on the OSU Roundup, and next up for the Cowboys, a road game at Texas. And recently, they've had a couple of nice wins. They've beaten Kansas and Baylor in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, and they went on the road and beat West Virginia. And I know people say West Virginia's down, but it's hard to win on the road in this league. They're a team that's continued to improve. They've kind of transformed how they've played as the season's gone along, playing both Ramey and Matt Coleman together a lot more here. Probably started that when they were here. But they're definitely a formidable opponent with a lot of size and experience in the backcourt. As
you think back to that first game, which was a win for you here in Gallagher-Iba Arena, what were the big keys to that victory?
Well, first of all, we got off to a really good start shooting the basketball. And against their press, we did a really good job of playing in attack mode, specifically in the first half. We didn't do as good a job in the second half, as I recall, but we were able to close it out and make some key free throws, specifically from Isaac Likely late. To seal the game.
And they really struggled offensively, especially early. I believe they went 2 for 22 from three-point range, and you seemed to have them out of rhythm on offense most of the night.
Yeah, our defense was really rock solid that night. We were really good in our ball screen coverage, which is a huge key against them because you see a lot of them trying to keep the ball out of the middle of the floor, trying to force their bigs to be playmakers versus those really good guards they got in Coleman, Roach, and Ramey.
The thing is, you look at your last two road games, you lose at the buzzer at TCU. Really, one run midway through the second half was the difference between winning and losing at Kansas. So you've been right there as of late, really close on the road to beating a couple of good teams.
Yeah, we've played really well on the road. We haven't had as much success as we would like. We were right in the game in Ames not long before that. But it's 53-51, just under 12 minutes, 13 minutes to go in the second half, and they make 4 straight threes, and now you got a really, really big time issue trying to come back in Allen Fieldhouse. But our kids really competed hard. They really didn't stop competing until the game was over. So I'm really proud of the way we developed and continue to have a good showings on the road.
Stay with us. We talk cowgirl basketball. Casey Kendrick and Coach Littell coming up next on the OSU Roundup.
Welcome back to the OSU Roundup. Casey Kendrick now joined by the head man for the Oklahoma State Cowgirls, Coach Jim Littell. And Coach, you guys went into Bedlam needing a win, needing to turn some things around, and you guys were able to do that. That was a huge win for your team.
It was a big game for our ball club. Our kids were excited to play in the Bedlam game and thought we played really well, and it's always nice to come out with a Bedlam win.
You know, you guys have won 5 of the last 7 regular season games, and Coach, this has kind of been a series of runs as of late, but it always feels good to be able to handle Bedlam. That's not been traditionally the case prior to that, so it's good to get that reversed.
No, I think the Bedlam's back in the series, and it's great competition, and Coach Cole's had good teams for a lot of years there, but our kids have got up for the game and always seem to answer the bell.
They certainly were ready to play. You knew they weren't going to come in and just expect not to win this game. Coach, they got out to a quick start, but you guys answered in a huge way, 29-14 in the second quarter to get the halftime lead.
You know, the positive is our kids bounced back. We got off to a 12-2 deficit, and then we gave up a 10-0 run to start the second half. So that's kind of been our Achilles heel all year long, and we're trying to work through the starts of the first half and the second half. But we played really well in the second quarter, got off to a slow start in the third quarter, but played a great fourth quarter as well.
Yeah, you scored 29 in the second, 30 in the fourth, and you win at 84-74. Coach, 33 points for Vivian Gray, 11-16. She was only 1 of 2 beyond the arc. It's not like she was raining 3. She was doing it the hard way, the old-fashioned way. She was 10 of 11 from the free throw line. Heck of a night for her.
Great performance. Was very solid in everything she did. Thought she was really good on the defensive end of the floor as well, and made shots, made tough shots. They knew that she was a scorer going into the game, and she hit a lot of tough buckets.
Coach, you had 4 of 8 beyond the arc from Jaden Hobbs. She's reemerged as that shooter that you've been looking for.
No question. We need Jaden to seek her shot, and I think she's been a lot more aggressive the last few games. And it gives us a different dimension to our program when she looks to shoot the basketball.
You know, Tasha Jones has just kind of been steady. You came into the season saying, we need you to rebound. And she's done that, but she's also done a few other things. She had 9 rebounds in this game, 4 assists. And again, just a calming presence when she's out there on the floor.
It is, and she's embraced her role of being a rebounder, and she knows how important that I feel it is, and she has figured out how important it is to us being successful. And it's a selfless act when you go rebound the basketball. It's not easy to do. It doesn't get a lot of attention at times, but it's very important in winning games.
Ironically, Coach, both teams were 27 of 63 shooting the basketball in this game. So that meant for you to get a 10-point win, you had to do some other things. You only had 1 more made 3, I think, than they had, but you got on the glass and got to the free throw line. You guys out-rebounded them 44-36. And that's not been a great strength overall, but it was in this game.
No, it was, and that was a difference in the game, and as well as our bench points, and just really locking in defensively at the right time and knowing our assignments. So I was proud of our kids for their efforts.
You know, it was a good crowd. We had a lot of folks there for that, considering the timing, considering the weather. And it was just, again, just a fantastic win for the program.
No, it was great, and our kids were excited, and it came at a much-needed time, and it was always good to beat OU.
Good to see President Hargis and First Lady, First Cowgirl Ann Hargis there as well. Good crowd helped pull the Cowgirls through. Let's take a break. When we come back, we'll talk about the trip to Lubbock, Texas. We'll do that right after this. Welcome back. Once again, joined by Coach Jim Littell. And Coach, you know, we've talked about the process. We've talked about this youth of this team. You guys are starting either 3 sophomores and a freshman and a senior, or 2 freshmen and 2 sophomores and a senior. However you look at it, it's not their age as much as it is their inexperience. The freshmen that are starting are coming off knee surgeries. You got 2 fantastic sophomores that are very dynamic, and a first-year starter as a senior. Put all that together and you look at it and you go, well, we just beat Oklahoma. There's lots of momentum. Here we go. But what happens is these kinds of inexperienced teams go on the road, and it's just so hard in this league.
It is hard to go on the road, and you know, the inexperience or not being consistent in your game and getting off to rough starts, it's not conducive to winning on the road. And we hope that we grow out of that real soon and find a way. But we look up and we're down 15-2 again, and just trying to battle for our lives. Came back, took the lead again, but you expend a lot of energy when you fall behind that way.
No doubt, Coach. But you look at this, another solid performance by Vivian Gray. They were in a man, but they were almost in a man chase, if you will. They were face guarding her, didn't even want her to touch the ball. She kept fighting through that, just kept plugging along until she ended up with 22 points.
Well, we saw some triangling too, and we were prepared for that. And when you go into a game and you score 78, you feel comfortable that you should win the game. So that wasn't the problem, the offensive end. The problem was we didn't guard as well as we needed to guard, and all of their kids played extremely well. You look up at the end of the night and they had 5 in double figures and a sixth with 8 points, and really hurt us on the boards as well. So the numbers didn't lie on this. We got a young lady from Texas Tech that was averaging 3.5 a game, gets 19, and that spells trouble right there.
Well, and that's what's interesting, Coach. You gave up 44 points in the paint. You go, wow, man, they're bigs. Brewer and DeGrate. And DeGrate did have a really good game. You must assume they did great things, and they did to some degree. But they also got a lot of dribble penetration. They got a lot of buckets at the basket inside from their guards even.
No, that's true. It seemed like we were a step behind on some things all night long, and consequently we didn't win the basketball game.
Coach, talk about going back to Tasha. We talked about her calming presence. She's at times had the green light to shoot the three, then it backs off a little bit, and then she hits a couple, and then that light gets a little brighter. In this one, had 13 points in the game. She had, I think, 8 rebounds. Another, again, good game for her because she really, in a lot of ways, kept you in this thing.
No, she did, and she hit some big threes in the first half when we were struggling offensively before we got Vivian going. So I was proud of Tosh, what she did. She shot good shots. There's good threes and there's questionable threes at times. I thought her shot selection was very good.
Gut instinct. You hadn't gone to Carly Wheeler a lot. You did in this one. She hits a three. And, Coach, just again had an incredible game in that facility as a freshman. So some gut instinct going on in this one.
No, we were searching for some things, and Carly had practiced well, has remained very positive, been a great teammate. And we thought she deserved the opportunity there and did really well when she came in.
Yeah, I thought she did some good things. You actually took a 4-point lead, Coach, and you wondered if this team in Tech that had struggled pretty much throughout the course of the season, even at home, even though they were close games at home, if they would fold. They didn't. Give them credit. They found a way to get some more offense going and answered your little run there.
No, they played everybody really well there, and I think their loss margin was about 5 points to conference teams there, and we knew that they'd been playing extremely well at home, and they've gotten better. They've gotten better as the years progressed, and give them credit. I thought they played really well.
Tough one on the road. Doesn't get any easier this weekend, Coach, going to Ames, Iowa, and they're one of the finest teams offensively in our league.
Maybe the best team as far as shooting the three in the country. They can score from the 3 line from 5 different positions. Very difficult guard for us, and they always play well in Hilton.
Thanks, Coach. Appreciate it, and best of luck this weekend. We need to step aside when we come back. We're going to be talking to a Hall of Famer. We're going to be talking to the one and only John Smith, head coach of the Oklahoma State Cowboy wrestling team. He's coming up next. Welcome back to the OSU Roundup, now joined by the head man for the Oklahoma State Cowboy wrestling team, Coach John Smith. Coach, a pleasure to have you with us on the show.
Thank you.
Another big win over Air Force. And before we talk the specifics of that, Coach, you guys are 13-0 for the 9th time under your helm. Only the 15th time in program history. And, you can't do better than whatever in O, and you guys are obviously off to a great start.
Yeah, it's been a good start. Actually, we're winding down. About 80% of our season's over, and this next 20% is going to get a little tougher. We've been able to piece together, our team. Had a lot of injuries, and just feel really fortunate that, we've been able to put guys in and guys take advantage of their opportunities. You just love to see it. And that's the reason why we're 13-0. Any other year, you know, would be a really tough season, but we've had the right people in the program to be able to fill those spots.
Obviously, you have had some depth and, you know, some guys that have filled in, and we'll talk again about some of those guys that returned this last week. But I'm curious, Coach, you know, there was a couple of years ago where you were redshirting some guys and moving some pieces around. Were you aiming towards this year and bringing this group of guys together?
Well, aiming towards this next couple of years, yeah, I think so. I think that's why you redshirt, you know, when you look at the field, you know, if you really don't have a chance of being real competitive, you know, sometimes you ask yourself, you know, if you got guys that have an opportunity to redshirt them. Doesn't always work out. You know, that the student athlete's got to work out too. You know, sometimes redshirt can be the worst thing. They got to live straight and keep going, and all of a sudden they're out of the season. Sometimes it doesn't work. It seems like it's coming together for us.
Talk about this particular match with Air Force, Coach. You guys win at 39-0. Obviously, it was Military Appreciation Day, which is fantastic. You had a great crowd there, 3,700 plus. Obviously, just a special night anytime you get to wrestle one of the academies.
It is, and you know they're part of the Big 12 in wrestling, and you know, I'll be honest, they're a better team than what they wrestled. I looked at them and saw and you know, I see 4 or 5 of their weight classes that are really competitive, and we just won. We won tough bouts, and that was the difference in the score. You know, 3 of those matches were, I think, less than 3 points. And the key ones like 157 Wyatt Sheets going up against their best guy and just put a whipping to him. I mean, you know, just went out and just executed and continued to score. Just everything you preach, you know, you don't always get, but seems like in that match it went well for Wyatt.
You got Chandler back after a month or so, Preston back after a couple of months. You talked about the depth, the guys filling those positions, but they're back, and they're back at the right time.
Well, you know, I think here at the end, somebody's going to be probably left out, you know, either Joe Smith or Chandler Rogers or Jacoby Smith, maybe a Dakota Gear, you know. We have a lot of guys in there that just seem to be, you know, somewhere between 7 and 15 in the country. That don't do you a whole lot of good. It gives you balance in dual meets. It gives you strength in dual meets that you have a good. But we got to put guys in the top 4 to be really competitive. And so as we go towards the end here, we might drop these guys down a weight. We got a descent plan that we have to follow, but somebody's going to be left out, and hopefully, you know that it's not a senior, but it could be.
As tough as that is, and that's a tough coaching decision, it's better to have one too many than not having one enough, right? I mean, it's the problem you want to have. Depth is so good that we're having a hard decision in filling up exactly the lineup.
Well, I just think depth in general, you know, it doesn't have to be superstars, but somebody you can put out there that's going to show up for you, you know, be competitive, you know, get in people's face and you know, kind of lighten the team up. You know, I think one reason why we're 13-0 is because some of our backups come in and they just kind of lit the team up. Like, we didn't expect this out of Caden G-Feller at 149. All of a sudden, you know, he's won 6 or 7 matches, beating top 15 guys, and we didn't even know if he was going to be competitive at 41 or weight below. So when you get that happening, it does light the team up. Everybody follows it, and we've had a couple of them.
Yeah, no doubt. And a lot of success this year. Let's take a break. When we come back, we'll talk about one more road match in the regular season, a doozy, and one more home match in the regular season. It also is a doozy. We'll talk about those matches and more as we continue with the OSU Roundup. Welcome back for the final time here, and again joined by Coach John Smith, head coach of the Oklahoma State Cowboy wrestling team. And Coach, you know, it's interesting looking at your schedule. You guys wrestle a lot of Friday, Saturdays, Friday, Sundays. You get into conference. I mean, there's dual meets, multiple meets per week. Now down the stretch, 8 days to Missouri, 8 days to Iowa. I'm curious, is that by design, trying to get everybody focused and also get some legs under you for postseason?
No, it's definitely not by design. A couple of things happened in scheduling last year that we didn't like. No, you don't want to wrestle 3 dual meets in 3 weeks this time of year, but is it going to hurt us? It shouldn't if we kind of substitute practice and do some things in practice that makes it a little bit more competitive. But It is what it is. It was the way it fell. You know, we only got a chance to wrestle OU one time this year, and it was supposed to be a double dual meet. And for somehow, again, we're not wrestling 2 matches. That didn't help us. But anyway, it is. And I think the good thing about, you know, the scenario that we have is that our last 2 matches are 2 of our toughest matches, and definitely Iowa being probably likely our toughest match of the season.
Well, yeah, you guys go on the road to take on a top 5 Missouri team, Coach, and this is just a this is a good old Big 8, old Big 12 rival going on here. This should be a great match.
Well, it's they're strong and they match up with us well. We're probably favored, but as you said, it's on the road, and you know, we've been on the road quite a bit, especially in the month of January, so we know how to wrestle on the road. But again, we need to focus on where everybody's going to be in a few weeks from now, and right now, just keeping people healthy. We got everyone healthy again, and trying to keep that as we go down the stretch is going to be important.
And I know you're not going to look 2 matches ahead in great detail, but Coach, again, fantastic crowd against Air Force. Iowa's coming in here. This is 2 premier programs. You guys ranked number 2. They're ranked 3, for whatever it is, top 5 program. It's going to be a great one, and hopefully fans will start making plans to be there.
Well, I hope so. You know, we've had great attendance. We got a chance to break our attendance record. You don't break too many records in Oklahoma State wrestling, but that'd be a nice record to break.
It would indeed.
You know, we're living the good old days a
Yeah,
little bit,
yeah.
you know, with our attendance, and it's been healthy. It's good to see a lot of people this past week. Like you said, with Air Force, everyone in the world was wrestling last week. Little league, junior high, high school. I was a little bit nervous about the crowd, and they came out.
Yeah.
And it was nice.
You guys performed 39-0 in that one, and now on the road to Missouri. Coach, continued success. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.
Hey, that's going to wrap things up for us. We want to say thanks to Coach Mike Boynton, Coach Jim Littell, and, of course, Coach John Smith, and we want to say thank you for being here as well. For Mr. Dave Hunziker, I'm Casey Kendrick. See you guys next time right here on the OSU Roundup.
The OSU Roundup is brought to you by Bud Light, game day's favorite light lager. By the visitstillwaterok.org, Shop, Dine, and Stay partners. Be sure to shop, dine, and stay in America's friendliest college town. By Mercy Health, your life is our life's work. And by OG&E, power at the speed of life.